we can sometimes have this sense of regret that just sort of traps us and makes us wonder if we'll ever be the kind of person God wants us to be. I want you to know there is tremendous hope for you today. Maybe you've struggled with the habit that you know dishonors God. It's sort of private. Maybe you've been guilty of cheating, stealing. And even if other people don't know it, you know it, and it sort of hounds your conscience. Maybe you struggle with looking at porn. And other people are like, what's wrong with looking at porn? But you know, like inside, you just go, there's something that's just not right about this. Whatever kind of person I was supposed to be, like I am somewhere, like I'm on the spiritual, like the bench. I'm on the injured reserve. I've disqualified myself, and I'll never reach the peak that God has for me because he could certainly find someone better to do whatever he needs to do. The gospel is still good news. The grace of Jesus is still absolutely available to you. And his forgiveness doesn't just cover part of our sin, it covers all of our sin, all of our regrets, so that you can have a new start in life and you can be the person that Jesus intends for you to be. Then Joshua, son of Nun, this is Moses' like successor, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. Let's just pause right there. What is Rahab? She's a prostitute, right? Totally unlikely heroine. Maybe you know the story. Rahab protects the spies who have come from Israel by hiding them on a roof. The authorities locally come and they're like, where are these? We know these men came to your house and they're ready to kill them. And she protects them and she sends them off into safety. And Rahab the prostitute. James chapter 2, and what's interesting, he writes 1,500 years after Joshua 2. This would be like you and me today looking back at the Roman Empire and going, you know, you go, Roman, when was that? Like, it just seems like ages ago, right? Here's what it says, James chapter 2, verse 25. It says, in the same way, was not even Rahab the what? The prostitute. In Hebrews 11, this hall of faith, if you will, these people who demonstrated great faith in God, she's the only one who's given a title. And it says this in chapter 11, verse 31. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, and it goes on. All of these centuries later, she was still known as Rahab the prostitute. Fair enough, the title stuck. She'd always be reminded of her past. No one would forget. That's how they remembered her. Someone go like, hey, you know Rahab? And they're like, Rahab? And they're like, yeah, you know Rahab, the prostitute. Oh, yeah, Rahab. Oh, yeah, I know Rahab. And it followed her like a shadow wherever she went. I wonder if someone had to fill in the blank for you, what would they put in that blank? It could be a lot of different things. Hey, there's Al, you know, the guy who got fired. Al, fired. You know about Bill? Oh, yeah, Bill. You mean the addict? Oh, that's Sally. Yeah, she's the one who stole from her company. That's Jack, the alcoholic. Megan, who cheated on her husband. It's Larry, the liar. It's Bill. He's an ex-con. Rahab, the prostitute. But something happens to Rahab. Like she's transformed. This prostitute, now a model of genuine faith. Verse 31, by faith the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. Or in the original language, disobedient can also be, in the Greek, as unbelieving. In other words, Rahab wasn't like them. Instead, she believed in the Lord. And she's also considered an example of bold obedience. Hebrews 11 talks about examples of faith. James chapter 2 talks about example of works. And only 2 people are mentioned in both passages. You know who? Abraham and Rahab. It's like God saying, you know what, let me hold up an example. These 2 things work together. Faith and works are what demonstrate there's been a genuine transformation in my life. In other words, I don't just believe and say, oh yeah, I sort of believe in God. No, if you believe, if you genuinely believe, it demonstrates in your life, like the way you live, the decisions you make, the way you treat people, what you say yes to, what you say no to. You might start in Matthew 1 and go, that's sort of a genealogical list, sort of boring, you know, you just sort of skim over and you're until you notice some of the people who are part of Jesus' family background. You go, wow, some surprises here. People overcame some kind of shame. Let's start in verse 3. Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. David, the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. And Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, and Mary, the mother of Jesus. The message is so clear. It doesn't matter what regrets or failures are in your past or what people might, the moniker they might give you. Jesus can give you a new start and make your life count. You believe that today?